Hello, and welcome to the High Rollers 10-day countdown. We're here for another character reveal, and I'm joined by Katie Morrison.
Hello.
We're going to talk about your character in the awesome Campaign 2 that's coming on July 1st, 5 p.m. BST.
Don't miss it. On twitch.tv/yogscast and also twitch.tv/HighRollersD&D.
And the VODs will all be uploaded here on Thursdays. There's also going to be an audio podcast. Make sure you follow at HighRollersD&D on Twitter as well. Hello. Are you ready for this very formal interview? I've been enjoying doing these. The last ones that I did, I was very ill and tired when I did them.
So you're going to be better now.
You get the full interview experience of like leaning in, looking at the camera, looking back. What's your character name and what race and class are you playing in Campaign 2?
So my character is called Aerois. She is a wild elf barbarian.
A wild elf barbarian, interesting. So there's a couple of things. So you've played a moon elf, a drow, and a half elf, and now you're playing a wild elf.
Yeah.
Why the Fey roots, and what can you tell us about wild elves?
So there's a couple of reasons for it, basically. One, because I want to, and
legit
screw
reason.
What anyone else says.
Yeah,
but
legit reason.
Two, when I wasn't gonna play an elf until you told me about the wild elves, and specifically the wild elves, like where they came from, what they were like the very Viking sort of vibes from it.
It's when I said Viking elves, your face like lit up.
He said, so I knew I was going to play a barbarian, but he said Viking Celtic elves, and my little Scottish heart went, yes, that please.
I will play one of those.
Those are a couple of reasons. So, and I really love elves, and I figure like, this is my hobby, this is my downtime. I want to play something that I enjoy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm not going to force myself to play a dwarf or something just for the sake of being different.
Yeah.
I'd rather play something that I want to, and Mark's Viking elves just sounded too awesome to pass up.
Okay, cool. Barbarian. It's a long way off the kind, sweet, flower-loving Elora, despite her immense strength near the end of the campaign. What's the story? Why barbarian?
I've always wanted to play barbarian. You know this. I've always wanted to play barbarian. Kim beat me to it for Uncharted Territory, and ever since then I've been determined to at some point play a barbarian. And not just a barbarian, it's going to be a Storm Herald barbarian eventually. So yeah, just because that seemed a bit different.
It was a bit, because initially like talking about barbarian and the Viking elves, my initial thought first went to the totem barbarian, because there's a lot of synergy there. But we started talking about it, and I guess with the Storm Herald barbarian, we know that that's what you're going to build towards in terms of character build and things like that. But is there a backstory reason that will drive that? Do you think that as her powers develop and change, is she going to change a little bit as a character, or?
I think she will. There is a bit of a backstory there in terms of like even things like the color of her eyes and things like have sort of changed since she started developing these powers, and she doesn't really understand them, and so there will be a backstory around sort of two different clans essentially of Vikings, and going from the whole Scottish roots thing, I just thought, well, got a bit of an accent already, let's roll with it.
Do they have Scottish names or Gaelic names?
Yes, so all of the names have either been sort of adapted so that they're pronounceable from Scottish Gaelic, or mainly for Mark. I'm very aware of Mark having to pronounce things. And also, Ayla herself, that's a Scottish Gaelic name, which means from the strong place. I like having names that mean things. So
we had that with Elora.
Yeah, I had that. Well. So it was a little bit of that. And there is a backstory around those two clans, which I won't say too much more about. But
Can you tell the people in this video the name of the wind one? Because it's called the wind one.
The Aerois.
Aerois.
Yes.
Tell us a bit about why Ayla is adventuring. What has brought her out into the wider world? Is there a family? Because obviously family was a big part of Elora, or is she more the lone wanderer type?
So a bit different from Elora. She's not really about family. It's the Aerois, this clan that she has sort of been raised by, are not actually her clan at all. And she's found out that her roots and what she is, being a Stormherald barbarian, is actually a bit of a myth, and they don't know where she comes from and where she's going. So she's kind of adventuring to find out what these powers are and what they do, essentially.
Like a good reason for an adventuring. And then finally, the last question, is there anything you learned in Campaign 1 that you factored in for Campaign 2? Anything that happened over Campaign 1 that you were like, you know what, I want to try and do something with that, or try something different, or anything like that?
I want to try and be less cautious than Aerois, which is
Okay.
going to be a real challenge for me. But the
Like
whole
barbarian.
barbarian thing, like that's got to fit into it.
Okay. Okay.
Plus, also, I think trying not to. So before campaign 1, Aerois, I was like, oh, she's going to be exactly like this. She's going to have this kind of personality. And it just, when we played, it turned out different. So
Yeah.
I think going into campaign 2, I'm going to be just more open-minded and just see where it goes. I'm not gonna be like, she's this type of person and shoehorn her in and try and be that. I'm gonna just play as that class, as that character, and see what happens.
Also, characters grow over time.
Yeah.
And the events of the campaigns changed Allura, and I'm sure they will change
Definitely.
Halo as well.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for telling me. I already knew all of this, but telling you about your character Ayla, the Wild Elf Barbarian, coming in campaign 2, July 1st. 5 p.m. BST over on twitch.tv/Yogscast, also twitch.tv/HighRollersDND. You can check it out there. We will see you for campaign 2.